Okay, hello everyone. Good evening and welcome to another fun-filled interview for tonight. It's Eight Letters LitFest once again, and with me is a budding indie writer. Okay, he is an aspiring author who loves to write poetry and fantasy. He lives in Caloocan City, Manila, and currently is a veterinary medicine student and is aiming to write more poetry after his first book, which we are going to launch tonight. He began writing when he was in middle school, right after finishing the Percy Jackson series, and from that day on, his writing journey began. Okay, everyone, please welcome Nico Sarmiento. Hi, Nico.
Hi, thanks for having
Hi.
me.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for writing your book. You look so young. How young are you? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm 21 years
Okay,
old.
21. Okay, 21. Okay, still young, still young. Okay. Is this your first time to launch a book or to write poetry at least?
I've been writing poetry since then, but this is my first time actually launching it as a book. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Where did you like publish your other works like say online, or you just kept it in a notebook, or did you submit it to a say a school paper?
I submitted it to our school paper, and at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I post it on Wattpad because that's the
Okay.
only website that is free.
Okay, it's fine. We
Yes.
have our Wattpad. Most of us have Wattpad accounts also. So maybe later you can flash your Wattpad account so that everyone can follow you there, right? I'm seeing fans, and then yeah, si Judy Ann go best. Parang ang dami mong fans ngayon, ano? Okay. Sana meron silang copy ng book mo, or at least I hope that they would really buy your books. Now let's talk about launch what's your lonesome launch tuloy. Let's talk about Lonesome Hymns. Okay, so from the title itself,
Yes.
medyo melancholic siya, no? So
Yes.
what are the poems here like? I mean, kung melancholic siya, what are the themes halimbawa? Wow.
Uh, Yes, actually, Lonesome Hymns, actually, ano siya, it's a compilation of different poetries that I wrote throughout, I think throughout the year, like
Mm-hmm.
nung pandemic. So I started
Mm-hmm.
writing. I didn't intend it to be as a book. I just compiled it. And then I called it Lonesome Hymns kasi parang it's like a combination of different hymns, which is personally for me, it's very lonesome kasi in times of pandemic, so you have to, 'di ba, you have to spend
Yeah.
your time alone so other
Mm.
people can cope up with that. So what I did is I wrote, everything that runs in my mind. So I called it Lonesome Hymns kasi, through the course of writing, for me it's kind of very, melancholic, it's very lonesome. So I call them hymns
Mhm.
kasi personally they are my personal written poetry, not just because like school project or something like
Mhm.
that. I wrote them because that's what I felt during those times. So
Okay,
I
very, very personal. Yeah. The expression of your feelings or emotions during that time. Tsaka talaga namang medyo malungkot tayo lahat, no? Mag-iisang taon
yes,
na yung pandemic, no? So yung mga
yeah.
poems mo, they're about to celebrate their anniversary na rin, so to speak. Okay.
Yes,
So, paano mo siya inano? Let's talk about your process, no? When you think of a concept or the topic, ganun ba? You just sort of start writing, or parang it takes time for you to brew the idea tapos saka mo pala siya binubuo?
yeah, good question. Actually, sometimes pag nanonood ako, for example, ng isang classic movie, or whenever I read a book, like for
Mhm.
example, I finished a classic novel. So after that, I have that certain feeling na I just can't leave. So i-write down ko yun. Depende sa kung ano yung nafe-feel ko. So I
Mhm.
just write it down. Sometimes
Depende
kapag
rin sa mood.
oo. Pero one thing is for sure na everything na nasa Lonesome Hymns is, it's like what what my friends describe is it's like a uh, cup of chocolate milk.
No.
Parang
What do
sabi
they mean
nila
by that?
parang daw, it's very it's very cozy, relaxing. Kasi I didn't
Very sweet
include
also.
anything about death. I
Mm.
didn't include anything about, you know, just pure melancholy, just pure
Mhm.
sadness.
Oh, wow. But sweet, sweet and
Oo.
cozy, okay. Maiiyak kaya kami pag nabasa namin 'to. But I'm currently seeing the screen, no. Sonnet 1. May I ask, are you a fan of Shakespeare? Kasi may
Yes,
Sonnet
I am
1
a
eh.
fan of
Ah,
Shakespeare.
that's cool. Fellow Shakespeare fan. Hello. Kung di mo na
Hello.
itatanong yan ang aking course nung college, ano. So kaya nagkaroon ako ng interest, no, kasi I'm seeing Sonnet 1. Tapos binibilang ko na ngayon yung kanyang rhyme scheme.
Oh,
Tumutugma siya sa rhyme scheme, no? Meron
yes,
ka bang particular, how should I say this? Parang meron ka bang ginayang kung Shakespearean ba yung sonnet na 'to or nag-Petrarchan ka? Ano bang ginamit mo dito? Ang ganda, ha. Paano mo
ano
nabuo
lang
'tong
siya
sonnet
actually.
1?
Nakikinig ako sa song ni Taylor Swift. Like
Hmm,
it's a new song. So
hmm,
yung feeling na na-get ko diyan, it's like the best song for me. So yung parang story niyan is based lang din doon sa story ng song. So I wrote
mhm.
it down.
So this was inspired by Taylor Swift's song.
Yes, yes.
Ang ganda siya, Salt Air. Very rare ako nakakita ng poems na nagsisimula sa ganyan. So meron ka ng style, no? How would you consider your, say, personal style as a writer or as a poet?
I just focus lang talaga doon sa sa beautiful words. Ang ano kasi ang gusto ko kasi na na maging style is start pa lang ng poem or sa title pa lang. I want them
Mhm.
to have that certain feeling na parang oh, salt air, parang ano agad 'yun,
Yeah, imagery, yes.
imagery.
Yeah, magaganda yung words mo dito. Oh, nice. Ah, Kasi sabi mo sometimes you just when you write you just put your heart out or you listen to
Mm.
a song, okay? Did you, for example, take like serious studies, say like did you study poetry in a formal sense? Because it looks like you already know how to write well. I mean, you write well from the way I see it. Did you like take classes? Did you take workshops? Where did you
Hindi
learn
po.
certain wala talaga. So this is something na wow, talent. Very rare.
Thank
Kasi yeah,
thank
some
you.
people develop, their skills kasi nanggagaling sila sa workshop. So kung sarili mo lang talaga siya, walang, wala pang input na ibang tao. Okay? So how much more kung may input na ng ibang tao, no? Kung may mentor ka na ganyan. Wow! Congratulations ngayon pa lang, Nico. Very, very
Thank you.
talented. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's now look into your favorites naman. What are your favorite poems or themes in Lonesome Hymns?
Yung pinaka-favorite na nasulat ko diyan is yung my personal favorite is the theory of Nicholas Wallace, and the other one
Mm-hmm.
is the Prince, the Gambler, and the Sea. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
the Prince, the Gambler, and the Sea, it came from the book I read many years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
read that book, The Return of the Young Prince. So he talked about what is life, what is everything, what is serendipity. That is the Prince, the Gambler, and the Sea. And the theory of Nicholas Wallace, it's the that's the longest short story that is in that book. So I thought of that kasi sobrang pinag-isipan ko yung plot niyan kasi it's about time travel, so I have to compute the time. I have to
Nice.
uh parang parang ayoko kasi yung may makita silang parang plot hole. So
Yeah,
yan
yeah,
yung
yeah.
ginawa ko dun sa
I
theory of
understand.
Nicholas Wallace.
Tsaka maganda yun na aware ka na, walang dapat na yeah, plot holes, ganyan, no? And so, hindi lang pala poetry. Meron ding short stories. How many
Yeah,
short
short
stories do
story.
you have?
I I can't remember. I think around five or
So
six.
it's just a combination of like most of these are poetry, are poems, and then the rest are ano na, are short stories.
Yes, yes.
Ah,
Poems.
okay.
Then yung last part is
Puro
short
poem.
stories.
Okay. Meron ka bang like say influences aside from your inspiration for your short stories and your poetry, who are your writing or who are your influences in writing? Like authors that you really look up to and you try to study how they write, you know, how they formulate their stanzas, ganyan.
Aside from Shakespeare.
Yeah, aside from Shakespeare, do you have other
Yes, yes.
influences? Mm-hmm. Can you name
Yes,
three kung kaya ng three?
yes. Okay, so the first one is actually is Jose Rizal.
Okay.
Jose Rizal. Second is
National
Rick
hero.
Riordan. Rick
Mm-hmm.
Riordan.
Okay, Percy
The
Jackson. Yeah.
Percy Jackson. And the last one, can it be a songwriter?
Sure, sure.
Yes, Taylor Swift or Owl City.
Ay, yeah, okay. Pang ano ka talaga, no? What do you call that? Millennial yun kasi si Taylor Swift, inabutan ko yan eh. So, pang millennial. Tsaka yung Owl City. So, how did they influence your writings? Let's say, can you name or can you cite certain, specific elements of your writing na sa tingin mo galing or inspired by Owl City, ganyan, no? Yung sa estilo ba?
Owl City kasi ano eh, he's more on the imagery. He's more on his
Mm,
beautiful words and may mga songs kasi siya na parang it will take you out of the reality. Parang
mhm,
it's very common among songwriters where they just write about love and heartbreak. Where in
hmm,
Owl City, he writes different. He takes you away from the concept of reality. Tapos he
may
will take
lalim.
mm, like that. So mapapaisip ka, mapapasearch ka ng lyrics like that.
Hmm. How about si Taylor Swift alam natin very na siya talaga. Parang
Mm,
what do you call that? May poetic quality talaga yung songs niya. Yung isa, si Percy Jackson author, si Rick Riordan, tama ba ako?
Percy Jackson, Rick
Okay.
Riordan.
Okay. So, ano naman yung parang elements ng mga sinulat niya sa series niya na sa tingin mo nakuha mo bilang writer?
The way he wrote his book, the way how he narrate
Mhm.
the scene.
Mhm.
Kasi 'di ba, there are writers na who just say whatever they want.
Mhm.
But Rick Riordan, he has his own way para to say or to deliver yung scene. So I want it to be that way. So I
May
read his
voice.
books.
Aha.
Mm,
How would you I mean taking all of these into consideration, how would you describe yourself as a writer? I mean, of course, marami kasing indie writers, but
mm.
what do you think makes you stand out from the crowd, you know? Like
What
what would make
makes me
people
stand out?
yeah, what will make people choose you, say, in a shelf, 'di ba? Pag nakita nila Lonesome Hymns, okay, I would pick this book. So what makes you or your writings stand out from the many indie writers there?
uh, Siguro I can't say the thought because most writers have their own thoughts with
Mhm.
whatever they have in that book. I think what makes me stand out uh, as a new indie writer, I think it's uh, how do I put this? I think my way of writing is very
Mhm.
different because what you have, what we currently have right now, most writers, they are like what you can see in different writers that we have right now. They just write whatever they want. They write
Mhm.
love, they write about heartbreak. But I think for me, I'm on the classic side, so I think
Mhm.
that that will make me stand out as an indie writer because
May ano, yeah, okay.
very few writers write poetry these days.
Yeah, oo. Tsaka ano, no, what I noticed sa writing mo is very careful, no? Like, you chose the words very carefully. Can you show one more uh page there, Cindy? Let's see. So that, can you show one more page from Nico's Lonesome Hymn? Something we haven't seen yet? Pang preview lang natin. Can you show what, like one line maybe? One line from a poem, if we can. Kahit isang ano lang. Yeah. So may mga quotes ka pala. Okay. Are these from you? These quotes are from you, or you, ano lang? Did you send them, or ikaw talaga may gawa?
I wrote them.
Oh, wow. So may quotations din pala. Okay, let's just say, like this. In the darkness you'll meet the most vulnerable you, and in the darkness will enter the one that will keep you. Okay, it's even in the quotations, very poetic pa rin yung pagkakagawa mo. So it's not something like you would just post on, on your wall on social media. Okay, so how do
Yes.
you how do you write these things? Very, very careful, very deliberate. So basta lang naisip mo ganun, and okay, I'm just gonna write things like this. Ganun lang talaga siya.
Yes.
Or parang inaayos mo pa siya na parang, oh, okay, this doesn't really sound poetic or lyrical to my taste. Medyo aayusin ko pa. Or is this really how you write naturally?
I can say naturally kasi there are writers who commit mistakes like me. So there
Mm.
are times that I write quotes that I think is too long or I think that doesn't make sense. So sometimes I cut it out, but there are just quotes that I wrote that just like that. I don't edit at all. So you can say
Wow.
that there are quotes in there that I wrote without any edit, and there are quotes that I wrote with edits.
I
So
can't
it's
even write. Well, I don't say I can. I mean, I don't even write this way. Like, it's rare to have a latent connection in mental level. I didn't understand that. Okay, so, kudos to you. Ang galing, ah. Ang galing. I mean, for at least sa age mo, wow. Ang galing mong mag-conceptualize and magbuo ng mga salita. So I'm really, really hopeful for you, no? And to those who are watching right now, those who are saying congratulations, please buy Nico's book, because we're seeing real talent here. Okay, we're seeing real talent. He's a natural. Okay, so sorry ha,
Thank
kasi kailangan kitang sinasabi ko talaga, you're a natural, because I've seen your, yeah, we look at a page and we say, oh, this is really good. You know what I mean? So pasok ka sa banga. If you put it that way. Okay. So let's see. Do we still have time? Can we maybe we could choose one very short stanza that, para ma-in love sa'yo yung mga nanonood. Maybe we can ask you to read a stanza. No, we still have time. Tapos after that, we'll invite everyone na, no? Meron pa tayong, baka meron kang book dyan with you. Tapos ikaw yung pumili ng
you.
gusto mong basahin meron ka
Ma-
bang book dyan?
Lonesome Hymns or other book?
Yeah. Lonesome Hymns. Yeah.
I don't have a book.
May copy ka na anything you want to read?
Okay, i-open ko lang yung
Okay, sige. Go.
ebook.
May copy
Then
daw
I will
sila.
read po.
Yeah, yes, please. Okay, go. If you can read with feelings, para yung mga nanonood sa atin, kiligin ng konti.
I'll try. Mm,
Sana daw lahat natural.
okay, I think I'll read this.
Okay, kahit yung maiksi
The
lang, or
first
kahit isang stanza.
words make a good poet, and a poet makes words meaningful.
Mhm.
Yun na po.
Okay na po. What did you say? Words make?
A good poet and a
Okay, and
poet and a poet makes words meaningful.
okay. Bakit mo naisip isulat yan? What was running in your mind when you wrote that?
Uh, when I wrote this, words make a good poet, and a poet makes words meaningful. At first, I'm very reluctant to consider myself as a poet because when you
Mhm,
search the word poet up on the internet, they will say that the poet is someone who writes poetry, and everyone can write a poetry. So, does that
mhm,
make them a poet? So, I
good point.
yeah. I have this thought in my head that words make a good poet, and a poet makes words meaningful. So when you make a poem and you touch others people's hearts and you made something that's very meaningful, so I think you can consider yourself as a poet. But if you just write a poem, you just write it, and because it's a graded poem, so you're not a poet. I think at least that's what I personally thought what a poet is. So
That's very, very insightful, Nico. Eat that lang, leave. Very, very insightful, Nico. Very, very insightful. Okay, I love that. It's really very short. Okay, but like malaman siya, and that's what I think that's the beauty of Lonesome Hymns. No, maikse pero malaman. Very substantial, and that's
thank you.
very a very great contribution to 21st century literature and to self-published literature. Okay. Now, one last thing before we wrap this up. Any message, no, to anyone who wants to write poetry? I mean, like, alam mo yung seryosohin nila yung pagsusulat ng tula. What can you advise to them?
Yeah, for me, writing poetry is more than thinking. It's beyond that. Writing poetry is it's a passion for me, and it's uh, the way how I put it. Wait, I think I wrote it. So there are feelings that can make you question who you are, but there are also feelings that make you discover who you really are. And I think when you try to put that feelings into words, that's actually I think how it will describe you as a person. So just don't stop writing poetry because poetry is very beautiful and
Yeah.
don't give up on writing poetry just because it's tiring. It has rules that to follow like the sonnet. So when you grasp poetry, it's very very beautiful.
Try to be the poem, no? When you're writing,
Yeah,
it's like you are the poem. You live the poem. Ang ganda. Ang ganda.
thank
Parang
you.
kung gagawin ko siyang no, gagawin ko siyang very blunt. Huwag kayong magpaka-pretentious. Huwag kayong magpaka-pretentious, maging natural kayo. I think that's the word that best describes Nico, natural. Okay? Not
Thank
just
you.
his way of writing, but also how his philosophy in writing poetry. I really hope that I'd see more of your works and alam mo yon, trailblazing sana, no? Na
Yes.
magpatuloy ka pa. No? I hope that this will not be the only book that you're going to publish. Please publish more. Okay, now please invite our viewers, our fans, our followers here to buy your book. Where can we see that?
Mhm. To all my readers out there and to those who want to uh, have a copy of Lonesome Hymns, please support me, and not just me, also other yung iba ring bagong writers, bagong
Mm-hmm.
published authors. Support them, support us. And I promise you na hindi kayo magsisisi sa laman ng book. You won't regret my book
How much?
because
Yeah, how
every
much does
chapter
this cost?
it's
Sorry, sorry, go ahead, go.
359. 359.
Okay, okay.
359
Okay.
pesos, and available sa Shopee soon and
Okay.
sa site ng 8 letters.
Yes, available at 8 letters, of course. And sundan ko lang yung sinabi ni Nico. Please support other indie writers. Tomorrow until Saturday, we'll have two more interviews. Okay, so Nico is the first of these interviewees. Okay, I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Pa-shout out to si Freda. Hello, Freda. Thank you for thank you for watching our show tonight. Okay, and thank you also to everyone who wrote their comments, who you know who's with us tonight to show their support to Nico and to 8 letters. Okay, abangan natin yan na lumabas na yan sa shop ng 8 letters. It's 359 pesos. Please buy and support indie literature and indie writers. Okay, thank you so much, Nico. It's nice meeting you. Thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
thank
Keep on
you.
writing.
Can I
Okay.
promote my
Uh,
Wattpad account?
please do. What's your Wattpad
Yes.
account?
My Wattpad account is at I am owl. Yun lang. Walang space. There's no space. At I am owl. Like the bird. Owl.
Okay. From Owl City,
Yeah.
I suppose. I am all lowercase naman yata yan.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so follow niyo siya sa Wattpad, I am Owl, and then abang-abang lang tayo kung meron pa siyang ibang ipapublish na libro. Hopefully with 8 letters also. Okay,
Yes.
everyone, thank you so much and have a great evening. Bye-bye!
Bye. Thank you.